Welcome back. You know how they say no news is good news? In the case of the shutdown, no news is really just no news. No votes scheduled at the Capitol, no negotiations happening, no urgency, no nothing. The White House says the president was at work earlier today, meeting with staff, making some calls. As we here at NBC News have learned, that offer of $2.5 billion went nowhere. The president's incoming acting chief of staff blasting Democrats for not coming to the table.
They came back at walking away from the table. The Democrats have simply shut down the discussions. They did not even counter us. We went back to them, by the way, after their second $1.3 billion and picked a number less than 5. So we actually came off of our $5 billion slightly. They, instead of coming up from their $1.3 billion, left town. And I think that speaks a lot about what's happening in Washington, D.C.
So one of the few humans left at that empty Capitol is this man, Maryland Democratic Congressman Steny Hoyer, currently the House Minority Whip. He will be the House Majority Leader in a matter of days. Congressman, thank you for joining us.
You bet.
So let me start with Mick Mulvaney's comments. Is he right? Have Democratic leadership walked away from the table?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, we've offered the Senate compromise 3 times on the floor, and we were not recognized for that motion. That was the Senate bill, which was passed over to the House, which included the 7 Republican bills. These are not our bills. We've already compromised. These are the Republican, they're in the majority, their bills, and we're willing to vote to fund them at the Senate passed bill levels.
But the president...
Can I just say how Paul Ryan refused to put it on the floor, and interestingly enough, Mick Mulvaney was just on television talking about us walking away. He voted not to open up government. He voted to shut it down, but that 16 days later, notwithstanding Boehner, who was the speaker, Republican speaker, saying, look, we need to get government open, Paul Ryan voted no to open government, Mark Meadows voted no, Scalise voted no, and Mick Mulvaney voted no. So they've got a history of using the shutdown of government as a strategy to get what they want. We are fully prepared to support the bill that came over from the Senate. We've offered it 3 times, and Paul Ryan won't put it on the floor. If he did, it would pass.
But it would not get signed by the president, right? And so that is the clutch flash, but it won't. He said he's not going to do it. So at this point, what are Democrats going to do? Are you willing to budge at all in any way, in any direction, $1 over $1.6 billion?
Hallie, I think we are certainly prepared to make sure that our borders are secure. And yes, we would, I think, discuss increasing border security. I think Senator Schumer has said that. Nancy Pelosi has said it. I've said it. We're prepared to do that. We don't think the wall is the way to go. Clearly, Mexico is not going to pay for it. That was the president's representation to the American people. It was a representation that all of us knew was not true, but he kept making it anyway. They're not going to pay for the wall. And very frankly, a bill to fund the wall did not get to the House floor until December 20th. In other words, 11 and a half. The president asked for it. So, and why didn't it? Because it didn't have the votes on the floor of the House of Representatives that the Republicans controlled and had the overwhelming majority of. So, the wall, we think that's a non-starter, but we are certainly in favor of border security that works to secure America and protect us.
And does that include, in your view, if not a wall, some kind of a fence or steel slats, perhaps?
Look, we have a fence. We have fences along that border, as you know. And if they need to be enhanced, I think we could, we'll have to look at the specific proposal. But we want to make sure that border is secure. And so I think that's open for discussion. But the president said it's a wall or nothing. He told the Senate, yes, I'll support the bill you passed unanimously, and then 24 hours later changed his mind because he got hyped up by some of the right-wing base that he has. And so he had a tantrum and said, OK, I'm not going to support it, and government shut down. Shutting down government is stupid. It's costly. It undermines morale and undermines the confidence of the economy and undermines the confidence of the international community in America as a stable leader.
I want to talk about some of the tweets he made, but first let me get you on 2 sort of factual points here. Number one, when was the last time that there was outreach to House Democratic leadership, to you, to Nancy Pelosi, from the White House directly?
Hallie, unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that for others. There's been no outreach to me Now, again, it's the four corners, as we call them,
Right.
McConnell and Ryan and Schumer and Pelosi, who are the ones negotiating now. So I'm not surprised that I haven't been reached out to. But there hasn't really been any. I talked to be Speaker Pelosi yesterday, and
had she heard from the president by
that conversation
then?
indicated that she had not heard from the president.
Okay, and this
That may not be accurate, but so I want to make it clear that I'm not sure of that. But she did not mention the fact that she had talked to the president.
This $2.5 billion offer that was apparently extended on Saturday and rejected. Does that number sound like it was about right to you, based on your understanding?
Well, based upon what Mr. Mulvaney said, but that's I'll rely on his veracity in saying that was what the figure was.
Is there any daylight, do you believe? Because the White House is now employing a kind of divide and conquer strategy, right? Saying, well, Senator Schumer was ready to maybe make a deal, but it was Nancy Pelosi who blocked it. Any daylight between Schumer and Pelosi, in your view?
I don't think so. I think they both have the same perspective, that the wall funding does not make sense. We think the majority of the Congress does not think it makes sense. And in that context, I think we are prepared to negotiate for good border security that works to keep America secure and safe, and lets us know who's coming into the country, and people who aren't authorized to come in don't come in. I think we all want to accomplish that objective, but we think the wall is a waste of money, frankly.
If the DACA for wall deal comes back on the table, is that something that the Democratic caucus is prepared to support?
I don't think the DACA, we tried to make a deal on DACA. I met at the White House with Senator Durbin and 23 other members of the Senate and House. You may have seen that on television. It was another one of those meetings we thought was going to be private that the president left open for the press to cover. And the president said at the end of that meeting, you send me a bill and I will sign it and I will take the heat. Here, he's not taking any heat because his base, or the right wing of the Republican Party, got on his case, and he took no heat. He buckled. So that hopefully we want to make sure that government gets open. We're going to offer a bill on the 3rd of January that we hope the Senate can pass, and we ought to send it to the president. We're a co-equal branch of government. We don't do the president's bidding, nor does he do our bidding. But we are the policymakers and the lawmakers, and we should send a bill to the president.
I got like 15 seconds for two quick questions. One, how long is the shutdown going to last then? Till hell freezes over, like Louis Gohmert says, or perhaps sooner than that?
Well, I hope it's sooner than that. I hope we come to an agreement with the president hopefully next week. That would be my objective, and that's our hope.
Secondly, there's some news here related to this congressional seat in North Carolina, and I understand that you have a news statement out related to this. Can you fill us in on what's going on?
Well, I've simply said if Mr. Harris is not certified as the duly, fairly, legally elected member, we would certainly oppose his seating. And as I understand it, that verification has not come. In fact, Republican leaders in North Carolina have said that there is substantial question as to the validity of the outcome of the general election. That's in court now, as you know.
Right.
We'll see what the court does, but it is clear, apparently from all sides, that there was fraud committed by certain participants in the administration of the election. Under those circumstances, we ought to have a new election for the general election, not the primary. The primary was not contested, but for the general election.
Congressman Steny Hoyer, thanks for coming on the show on this Friday evening. Appreciate it.
Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.